Hello, grade 8. This is Mrs. Lopez, and today we are working on lesson 3 in our module 4. Lesson 3 is about solving linear equations. But first of all, before we start even solving them, I want to talk about what linear equation is. You already know what equation is when we have two expressions that are equal to each other, and we have linear expressions that we know from lesson 2 is when we have expressions where variables have exponent 0 or 1. Uh, Linear equations. What is a linear equation? Linear equation is an equation where one linear expression has the same value as another linear expression. And today we are going to try to start solving them. Let's look at example 1. Is the number 3 a solution to the equation that we have here, 4 plus 15x equals 49? That is this equation a true statement when x equals to 3? What can we do to find out whether or not 3 is the solution to this equation? We would substitute 3 instead of the x and solve it, or simplify it. So we will write 4 plus 15 times 3. Remember that when x stands next to 15, it means its multiplication equals 49. Okay, so according to the order of operations, we are going to multiply first and then would add 4. 4 plus 15 times 3 is 45 equals 49. 4 plus 45 is 49. 49 equals 49. Since these two are equal to each other, 3 is the solution to the equation. So we'll write yes, x equals 3, or 3 is the solution. Okay. Number 2, here's a linear equation in x. 8x minus 19 equals negative 4 minus 7x. This is an equation that you haven't seen before. We have variables on both sides. We have x here and we have x here. The question is 5 a solution to this equation? That is the equation a true statement when x equals 5? We are going to do the same way. We are going to substitute 5 instead of our x in all cases and then simplify. So before I do that, I want to make sure that I have turned all my subtraction problems into addition of the opposite. So instead of minus, I will write plus negative and plus negative here as well. Okay, so now I have 8 times 5 plus negative 19 equals negative 4 plus negative 7 times 5. Okay, now we simplify. 8 times 5 is 40. 40 plus negative 19 equals negative 4 plus negative 35. 40 plus negative 19 is going to be negative 21. Positive 21, sorry. 21 equals negative 4 plus negative 35 is going to be negative 39. 21 does not equal to negative 39, so 5 is not a solution to this linear equation. No, x does not equal 5. 5 is not a solution. Okay. Number 3, here's a linear equation in x. And they're all linear because we know that there is no exponent on top of x. It means the exponent is 1, right? 3 multiplied by the sum x plus 9, or 3 groups of x plus 9, equals to 4x minus 7 plus 7x. Right away, I'm changing subtraction into addition of the inverse. They're asking us to simplify this equation first, and then check whether or not 5/4 a solution to this equation. Notice that we have this equation that has quite a bit of work to do before we get to check whether or not 5/4 is a solution. We want to combine all like terms. So what you want to do, you want to use the distributive property to see what three groups of x plus 9 is. For that, we will multiply 3 by x and 3 by 9 and write it as a sum, right? So you will have 3x plus 27 on the left side, and on the right side you can combine 4x and 7x since they're like terms. You will have 11x plus negative 7. Now that you simplified it, there is nothing else that you can simplify. We can check whether 5/4 is the solution to this equation. So we will substitute 5/4 instead of x in both of these cases. We will have 3 over 1, you can put it that way, multiplied by 5/4 plus 27 equals 11 over 1 multiplied by 5/4 plus negative 7. Okay, so here we will have 15/4 since there is nothing to simplify. 15/4 plus 27 equals, here I will have 55/4 plus negative 7. Okay, all right, so now I want to change my improper fraction into mixed numbers to be able to add them easier together. 15/4 will be 3 and 3/4 plus 27 equals, and here we will have 11, 13 and 3/4 plus negative 7. And just to make sure, 4 times 13 is 52 plus 3 is 55. Okay. All right. So now 3 and 27 together make 30 and 3/4. And here we will have definitely not 30. We will have to subtract 7 because this is a negative one, right? 13 minus 7 is going to be 6 and 3/4. Okay. So these two numbers are not equal to each other. Therefore, x is not, 5/4 is not a solution to our equation. X does not equal 5/4. Number 4. Here is a linear equation in x. Negative 2x plus 11 minus 5x equals 5 minus 6x. I will right away change subtraction into addition of the inverse because that's what we do. And it's easier to solve all of these equations later on. We want to check to see if 6 is a solution to this equation. To make our work easier, we need to simplify this equation. We can combine negative 2x and negative 5x. So that will be our negative 7x plus 11. 11 does not go anywhere since it's not a like term. It stays as it is. Equals 5 plus negative 6x. Now we substitute 6 instead of x and check whether or not we will get the same value on both sides. Negative 7 times 6, 7, plus 11 equals 5 plus negative 6 times 6. Negative 7 times 6 is negative 42. Negative 42 plus 11, and on this side, 5 plus negative 36. Okay. Negative 42 plus 11, we would subtract and get negative 31. And on this side, we will also subtract and get negative 31. Negative 31 does equal negative 31. So, yes, 6 is the solution to this equation. X equals 6. Okay, here I'm going to write now. Okay, so that is pretty much it. These are linear equations. In the next lesson, we will learn how to solve them. But before we do, we want to make sure that we practice enough to understand what linear equations are. So right now you have exercises to do. I would like you to pause the video, do the exercises, and then unpause to check the solutions with me. All right, so let's look at the exercises. First, linear equation that we have here is 6x plus 5 equals 5x plus 8 plus 2x. I just rewrote that equation in the first line. In the second line, I simplified my equation and added 5x and 2x. It became 7x. The rest of it is untouched. After that, I substituted x equals -3, so I put -3 instead of each x and multiplied by the coefficient that we have here. So 6 times -3 and 7 times -3. 6 times -3 is -18, 7 times -3 is -21, and then I just added the two integers together. -18 plus 5 is -13, and -21 plus 8 is -13. -13 does equal to -13, so -3 is the solution to the linear equation. Second one, 16 minus 1/2 x equals 3/4 x plus 1. There is nothing that I can simplify right away, so I just went ahead and substituted 12 instead of x and multiplied by the coefficient. So 12 over 1 I multiplied by -1/2, and 3/4 I multiplied by 12 over 1 as well. I simplified 12 and 2 and 12 and 4, and that's how I came up with -6 on my left side and 9 on the right side. 16 plus -6 is 10. 9 plus 1 is also 10. So yes, 12 is the solution to this equation. For number 3, I have 24x plus 4 plus 2x equals 3 times 3 groups of 10x plus -1. I changed subtraction into addition of the inverse. So I simplified. I added 24x and 2x. It became 26x. And here I use the distributive property. 3 times 10x is 30x. And 3 times -1 is -3. Then I substituted 2 instead of the x. 26 times 2 plus 4. And 30 times 2 plus -3. 26 times 2 is 52, 30 times 2 is 60. I added the two together, it became 56 and 57, which don't equal to each other, so 2 is not a solution to this equation. In the next one, number 4, we have x plus 6 equals 8 plus 7x. There is nothing to simplify, so we need to substitute -1/3 for x, -1/3 plus 6, and 8 plus 7 over 1 times -1/3. On the side, I combined 6 and -1/3. I changed 6 into 5 and 3/3 to be able to take 1/3 out, and it became 5 and 2/3. It is positive because 6 has a greater absolute value, so the answer is positive here. 7 times -1/3, I did it right here, -7/3, or -2 and 1/3 if you change it into a mixed number. And then since this one is negative and 8 is positive, combining them I need to subtract. So I rewrote 8 as 7 and 3/3, and I'm subtracting 2 and 1/3 from it. It became 5 and 2/3, positive because 8 is a positive number and it has a higher absolute value. Both numbers equal to each other, so yes, x equals to -3 is the solution to this linear equation. And the last one here, we have 6x plus 4 minus x over plus -x, and two groups of x plus 1. Angel transformed this equation into 10 equals 2 groups of x plus 1. So I looked at this equation and I simplified it myself. So 6x plus negative x is 5x plus 4 equals 2x plus 2 using the distributive property, two groups of x plus 1. Looking at this equation and looking at this equation, there is no way that this part of the equation can be 10. I can see where Angel went wrong. It looks like he combined 6 and 4, which is unlike terms. You can't add them together. And it looks like you took away x from the 6x, which is right, but you have 6x's minus 1x is going to be 5x and not 6. Okay, so that 10 is absolutely wrong. And if he came up with this equation, yes, 4 would be a solution because 4 plus 1 is 5 and 5 times 2 is 10. However, 4 is not a solution to this equation because after you simplified it correctly and substitute, you will get 24 and 12, which don't equal to each other. Okay. Number 6 and 7, you can totally do them on your own and come up with possible equations that would satisfy x being 3. Um, and also think about, will there always be a solution to the equation? Is there anything, if not, is there anything that does not have a solution? Think about it for an extra credit and tell me at the at the beginning of the next class. And maybe there will be something, and maybe you can earn a extra credit. Um, Other than that, let me know if you have any questions. Do your homework, and I will talk to you in the next class.